Right, so this section deals with alpha maps, what they are and how they can be used. I'm going to show you an example of both procedural alphas as well as bitmap, first of all. Alphas are generally seen as a cutout map, or that's what most people know them as, where you use a black and white image to kind of like cut out an image from a bitmap. However, alphas are actually just refers to a black and white map of some kind with a gray gradient, black or white or gray in between, to control a certain shader input. Like, let's, for example, you want to have a certain section of a surface be glossy and another area of the surface not be glossy. Let's say you're doing a metal rust with rust type of vibe and you don't want the rust area to be glossy, then you would go and paint a black and white map or gradient map to show which areas would be highly glossy or reflective and which areas will have the rust. That's more, again, an example of a bitmap use. But let me show you quickly how I would go about that. So let's quickly go and create a leaf using a cutout, which is the simplest method. Now what I did was I found an image on the web of a leaf. I literally went in Google and searched for leaf, copied that image, and I opened up Photopea and I loaded it into this program. All right, so let's quickly go and create some just quickly go create a black and white version of this. All right, so what I want to see here is the green area, but I do not want to see the white area. Now it's important to note that this image, its resolution, image size, canvas size, is currently 500 by 750. So let's quickly go to max and just recreate that same size. So I'm literally just using the pixel size as millimeters at the moment. So I want to have my width to be 500 and I want my length to be 750. Okay, so it's literally the same size as that image. And you'll see if I were to go and save this image from Photopea as a PNG, so a file save as, let's go export as JPEG, and I'm just going to save this as this. There we go. New project 5, shown folder. Quickly name that leaf, and we're going to just save, copy that, Control X, go here. Just so I want to keep everything together. I'm going to go to Scene Assets, Images, and then I'm going to paste that in there. So there we have our base leaf. All right. So now we want to go and create a cutout map of this. Now it's very easy to do. So we close this down. So if you look in this in Photopea itself, the fourth button from the top has a couple of selection methods. I'm going to use object selection, and I'm literally just going to click and drag over the whole leaf. Because this is very easy to distinguish between what is background and foreground, this tool works well. So if I just do something like that, it'll select that leaf and it won't select the white. Right? So now I have this. I can now go to selection, and I'm going to go and say modify, and I'm going to say I want to contract that with like 1 pixel, just 1 pixel. Boom. Just make it a little bit smaller than the outline of the leaf. Otherwise, we run the risk of having a little white line over there at the end of the leaf. And I'm going to go select. I'm going to go inverse, and it's going to invert that selection. All right. So now we have 2 selections which we can currently jump between. So let's really go create in our layer panel over here a new layer, and I'm going to just paint that black. I'm going to make the background color black by clicking on this bottom box, and the top one will be white. So the shortcuts for this, you can actually just fill. If you want to just flip them around, you can click that little button over there. Or the shortcuts for filling the background color and filling the foreground color respectively, Alt backspace is background. So if I hold Alt backspace, it'll fill it. Oh, sorry, it's the other way around. So Control backspace, that makes everything black. And we want to go and invert that selection again. So we're going to go to select, inverse, and we're going to fill that with Alt backspace. So now we have a cutout of that leaf. All right. I'm going to save this image as file, say export as JPEG, save. Let's quickly go back there, shown folder. I'm going to just change this name to leaf alpha or cutout or whatever, right? Cut that and put that in C under my project folder again, scene assets, images, and just paste it in there. So now we have 2 images. All right, so let's go back to Max. All right, so back in Max, I'm going to quickly go and build that up. So we're going to do a Arnold, material, surface, standard surface. And the base color will be the green leaf. We're going to use a bitmap for that. Go back to our C drive, that folder, go to scene assets, images, and I'm going to use leaf. Right, so you will see that leaf will now be applied, and it'll be in the shader. Just apply it there. You can see there it is. It's very glossy, very shiny, and everything else. So you just drop down that specular level. So you can see there's the image of the leaf, right? So now what we want to do is we want to go to our right to the bottom here where we have special features. We want to use the cutout. Okay, now the cutout opacity here, this says that anything that is white must be cut out. Okay, now we have an image that we plug in here. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to go to general bitmap again. Pick this guy and click open. All right, you will see in here it's cutting out that white border. You won't see it in the viewport. However, if I render, this is what you will see. There's the leaf. There's the leaf render, and it's perfectly cut out. Okay. So that means that you can do a whole bunch of things with this leaf now. I can just quickly move this pivot point, top Z, move that over here. Make sure it's at the start of the base of the leaf. For example, let's press insert again. And we are going to go and just apply a bend modifier. There we go. Gives it a little angle on X maybe. See what it does. Gives it a little bit of curl up like that. And then bend again. On Y. On Y. And then increase that angle, but just push it downwards slightly. So let's rotate it so it's 90 degrees down. And there we go. Convert that to little poly, or actually just keep it as is. I'm going to just rotate this guy, shift drag that up. I'm going to make it so it's overlapping on purpose. Move it up a bit. Click both. Drag them back a bit more. Like that. I can go and modify this guy's bend a bit more. Maybe it's bending a bit further down. And then if I were to render that, I'll have 4 different leaves not intersecting with one another, and you can see there that it's pretty clear. Okay, there's no white edges around, and it looks good. Okay, you can also obviously scale individual leaves, scale it up, rotate it a bit further down, rotate it a bit more, like this one's smaller, and E, rotate it up, and then render, and you'll see that's changing each leaf independently. Okay, so how do you control a reflectivity or a specular roughness or any other one of these little nodes over here with a black and white image? Some of them are more relevant than others. So let's say, for argument's sake, we want to have something be very rough in one area but very glossy in another area, or very specular in another area. So let's quickly go and use a sphere. Just drag out a sphere and I give it this material that I made. So just another standard surface. And if I render that, you will see that this is the result we have. Now we want to have certain areas we can control this because we want to have certain areas to be rough and the other areas to be a little bit more shiny. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be using a procedural map in this case. Under specular roughness, this is the value here. So you'll see there's a value over here and it'll node that if I click on that, it'll ask me what I want to plug in there, a bitmap. I'm going to be using, in this case, a smoke. Let's use a smoke. Okay. And you'll see it'll automatically plug it in for you. Let me just find the damn thing now. Where is it? Instance. Wait. What is going on here? That's not the material that's applied, it's this one. Plug this into specular roughness in there. Alright? And I'm going to just set the scale of this guy a bit smaller because it comes out as 1016 for some reason. So set that to like maybe 50 or so, much smaller. And this is the material that's applied to the sphere. And I'm going to just hit render again. And you'll see what it'll do. It'll go and make certain areas very reflective and certain areas not at all. Okay. I can also go and invert this. You can see this is predominantly black, a lot of black in there. So if I were to go and say, set this guy to be inverted. Let's see, where is that now? I'll just switch the two colors around. Let's make the black white. Let's hit swap. Let's drag them over. And if I hit render again, you will see a different type of scenario now here. Now where you have a lot more grays and a lot less black areas. Okay, so the white is the one that's causing this roughness, where it's very, very, very rough. And then where it's less, where it goes less and less, you'll see it over here. It's more, maybe more visible if I make this a bit bigger. Size of 200 or so, and see what we get. See there. Okay. So where it's white in this case, it's high roughness, and where it's black, it's low roughness. More specularity. Okay. So that's it. That closes that section off.